Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE TLC 2018 preview and predictions. Interestingly enough, guys, we've got 12 matches on this show, and not a single one of them has been predetermined to be in the pre-show or in the kickoff. So we don't know what's going to happen in what order. We don't know what's going to happen on the kickoff, what's going to happen on the main show. All we know is that we've got 12 matches to talk about. And John, we were talking about this before we even went live. Hype levels. I'm sitting at around like a 7 or so. And you told me that you were sitting maybe a little higher than that, maybe a 7.5. I'm curious to see how high we can get our hype level for this show by just talking about it and talking to each other and talking about potential possible outcomes and stuff like that. How are you feeling, man?
You know, dude, TLC is a very weird pay-per-view to me. Because on one hand, I think it's significant because it's the last pay-per-view before the official road to WrestleMania. Because the next big pay-per-view after this is obviously Rumble, and that's when things really get fucking crazy. Not just in WWE, but really the whole wrestling world, because it's that time of year. On the other hand, you know, there are certain high-stakes matchups narratively on this card. Yeah. But then there are matchups that don't make a fucking lick of sense to me as far as...
Yeah, this card feels like they didn't give themselves long enough to prepare, so rather than getting the extra week of Raw and SmackDown matches, they just shoved like 2 or 3 matches from each brand that should have been on the TV show onto the pay-per-view.
Yeah, you know, I'm just looking, and Mark Schoeneman said this card looks legit and overbloated as fuck, and that's really kind of where I'm at, because this is a 12-match pay-per-view card. Now, obviously, there are going to be matches designated for the pre-show, but even accounting for that, that would leave, like, what, 10 matches on a main card? That's a
Which
bit
is
heavy.
Fine, because it's a 4-hour show.
Right, so... I mean, I even said, which I didn't end up doing, which is probably all for the best given how extensive this card is, but that I was going to make a list of like hierarchy of like what matches am I looking forward to the most and which matches I'm looking forward to least. I can tell you straight away, one of the matches I'm looking forward to least, which I will have a little bit to say about, is Elias versus Bobby Lashley in a fucking ladder match with Elias' guitar hanging up top.
Yeah, I the way that I put the card together was I always try and go from least important to most important. But rather than like, making sure that I got matches that have major stakes at basically the 3 stipulation matches that are literally meaningless. And it's funny because they literally got a chairs match, a ladder match, and a tables match on this show. And all 3 of them are as meaningless as can be. And yet we don't have a stipulation for Bar Usos New Day, and we don't have a stipulation for Rollins Ambrose, and we don't have a stipulation for Bryan Styles. And yet those three matches got those ridiculous, unnecessary stipulations.
Yeah, so in a way, again, I am hyped for TLC because what's good on this is the potential to be really good. That triple threat women's TLC match, especially with the way that Asuka looked on the go-home week between SmackDown Live and Mixed Match Challenge. This is the Asuka on the main roster I've been fucking waiting for. So I'm really excited for it. Plus Becky is Becky, and I will say, even though we'll always criticize Charlotte, I actually do prefer her in a heel role to a face role, even though she'll always have little quirks about her that just infuriate me. But you know what, though? There's going to be plenty of time to really unpack this card and go match by match. So let's get into it, man. What match are we talking about first?
Well, the first match that we're going to be talking about is really, to me, I would say the match that I'm least looking forward to on this show. And that speaks volumes because there are 2 Raw women's matches on this show that actively make me angry. But the match that I'm least looking forward to on the show is represented by SmackDown, and that's Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton.
Yeah, you know, man, here's the thing. These guys obviously have history. They feuded once before, infamously in 2006 because of the whole Eddie storyline. And even though that was tasteless as fuck, and I'm not going to deny that, it at least had that substance going for it, and it had legitimate stakes with Rey, having the main event of WrestleMania and Orton wanting to be a part of it. This feud, I think it's more just about Orton's whole, just goal, his mindset of, destroying everybody's heroes. So it's kind of his mentality, and Rey just got caught in the crosshairs. Which, I mean, that's fine enough. I mean, a simple storyline is cool if it's just written well and you have me engaged. I haven't been into Orton in the last few years. The most interesting thing he did was burn the Wyatt family compound, and that momentum just quickly fizzled out. I feel like that storyline never really reached its potential, and the end.
Yeah, and that was at the very beginning of 2017. So we're still talking almost 2 years ago, like 2 years and 10 months ago.
Exactly, and I just feel like
10 months ago, but yeah.
And I just feel like the way that ended was such a fucking shit fest. And Rey, I get that he's back, but I just feel like this is the wrong role for him. You're at the stage of your career that he's at. Like, legitimize some of the fucking talent. Like, I would have loved a series between him and Andrade with the winner, maybe becoming #1 contender for the U.S. title, which, I mean, we could correct that situation. And I can talk about this because Rusev Nakamura isn't even on this card. You could have Rusev beat.
Yeah, and that's another thing. There's no Intercontinental Championship match on this card. How interesting.
Well, you mean United States Championship?
Yeah,
yes. But yeah, then you could just go into a feud between Rusev and Almas, but instead Rey is working with, and I would say Orton's in the upper mid card. I wouldn't necessarily consider him main event. I could see him getting back in the main event next year potentially, but I would say he's more in the upper mid card right now. But I still feel like that, and I'm gonna sound like a dick here, and I hope people don't take this soundbite out of context. But I think that's still too high a spot for Rey. I think, you should really be, again, working with the hungry talent that are your future.
Rey should be the one working with Nakamura.
Exactly, yeah. And then he wins the U.S. belt, and then he could pass it on to an Andrade or somebody that has a lot of mileage left to give. But instead, yeah, exactly. I want my pants to do the same thing, too. But they fucking can't, because WWE is like, hey, you know what's a really good idea? Rey Mysterio versus Orton in a chairs match. So I'm really kind of blasé about this, even though I'll give them this, and it's kind of a backhanded compliment because it's such a low fucking bar to clear. I do think this is one of the more inspired chairs matches on a TLC card. But again, the whole concept is so stupid on its face. It doesn't really take that much
on its big dumb face.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna go with Orton for the win here, man. I don't see Rey winning. Especially because he got the upper hand on SmackDown. And I know that whole thing really doesn't apply, but I do think Orton is more the priority right now. So I'm just gonna give him the win over Rey in this chairs match.
That's actually funny because I've been thinking, I feel like Orton has kind of won his last few feuds. Like, he pretty well dominated Jeff Hardy for the most part in their feud and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to go with Rey to kind of give Orton a comeuppance that he hasn't really had a proper one of in a while.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. All right. Yeah. So I'm picking Orton. You're picking Rey. Disagreements right out of the gate, man. Damn.
Yeah, that's really rare for us. We usually get the first 4 to 6 matches where we kind of share opinions and stuff, and then we get a big disagreement when one of the bigger matches comes up. But immediately, right out the gate with a completely meaningless match, we disagree for I don't even know why. I don't know.
Yeah, them's the breaks, I guess. All right, let's move on to our next matchup.
Well, our next matchup is the one that you said you were dreading most, that being the ladder match with the guitar hanging above the ring, Elias versus Bobby Lashley.
Can I please go first on this?
Yes.
I hate this so much. One, because you give a ladder match to this. So already with the concept of TLC, when we take it from a conceptual standpoint.
Yeah, clearly this should be a ladder match and not New Day Usos bar.
Exactly. So obviously, obvious criticism is obvious. But when you go a bit deeper, I feel so bad for the Elias character. I'm not saying he's not going to get a great reaction here or any of that, but this is just such an awkward match to put him in. And he's so over, and he's got a lot of momentum. If you were going to do and you've already done enough regular matches on TLC, you're telling me you couldn't bear the thought of making this one of them with Elias getting a win? Because here's the thing, Elias, we're talking about upper mid-carders and stuff. I could see him being a big player in 2019. Hell, I could actually see him doing something really cool at WrestleMania this year, whether it's a Rock concert with The Rock or winning the IC title or something of that nature. I think he's going to have a WrestleMania moment next year, and I'm really excited about that happening. But you put him in fuck shit like this, you're not doing him any favors. This is a stupid, overly gimmicky match that I don't think is going to do anything for either guy. Now, I'm not a fan of Lashley at all, but if we're looking at it from a business perspective, you always want to protect all of your assets and make them look good. How the fuck is this going to make him look good when I feel like he gets blown up very easily because he is on the older side? This match is totally out of his element. I feel like you're just really hampering both guys. That said, you know, I've been kind of used to Lashley just losing. He really hasn't gone on the dominant streak that I thought he would when he returned, which I think is both a relief, but if you really want to make him somebody, it kind of, you know, it sucks. But I'm actually going to go with Elias for the win here. I do think, and that's another disagreement just based on that lap.
Yeah, two matches in a row now that we disagree with for such random reasons. And it's not even like the kind of thing where like I'm gonna like get on my pulpit and start trying to like preach to you about how wrong you are or anything like that, because I don't really know. But like I just think that if anyone's gonna be a reasonable guy to take the title off of Seth, it's gonna be Lashley. So I think they're gonna give Lashley a win here to have him take the title off Seth between this and Royal Rumble.
And that already kind of foreshadows another disagreement, but we'll save that for later. Let me just ask you this. Are you also, just from a conceptual standpoint, are you also going with Lashley because you could see them doing a spot where fucking Leo Rush climbs the ladder and gets the guitar for Lashley?
That was definitely, I legitimately was thinking that something along those lines would happen. Like basically, it's basically going to be like a 2-on-1 match because, you know, there's a stipulation, which means that there is no disqualification. The only way to win is to, wait. Do you win by getting the guitar, or do you?
No, you're only just allowed to use it. It's still a pinfall or submission match, which is yet another reason why adding a ladder is fucking pointless. Yeah. So
it might as well just be a fucking guitar on a pole match. Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh Lord. But yeah, I'm just gonna go with Lashley, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see, because that's another. It's funny that we're 0 for 2 as far as agreements go. It's hilarious.
And I can already tell, well, maybe not 0 for 3, but there is going to be a third disagreement at least, just based on like how you framed your response. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, what bridge are we crossing next?
Well, next up, we've got our only other sort of meaningless match with a completely unnecessary stipulation to it. John, I'm going to say it. She's a part of the Hart family. Ruby Riott versus Natalya tables match.
I feel like I've been going first a lot, but I'm just realizing how much hate I have now.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Is like this and the other Raw women's match are after Orton Mysterio are the two matches that I hate the most on this card, and those are the three matches specifically that I actively dislike and wish weren't happening. You know, there are like 3 matches that I'm genuinely looking forward to, and everything else is just kind of like a meh. Like it's there, but it doesn't do much for me. But it's not like it makes me angry or anything. So, yeah, there are 3 matches that I hate and 3 matches that I love. And yeah, 2 of the matches that I hate are Raw women's matches, and this is one of them because Natalya wants everyone to believe that the Montreal screw job somehow led to Vince McMahon holding a grudge towards all members of the Hart family, which is ironic because, you know, he didn't let go of, well, that's horrible wording there, but he didn't fire Owen Hart. He kept him around and pushed him pretty well. And, you know, it's not like Vince holds this grudge against all Harts. He just did the Montreal screw job because he knew Brett was leaving the company and was going to, you know, take the title with him if he didn't get the title off of him. That's the only reason that he did that. And now all of a sudden Natalya's acting like, excuse me, don't forget about the Montreal screw job. I'm lucky I even got into this business. Like, no, bitch, you are benefiting from nepotism in its finest form. The fact that you exist on this show, you've been employed for a decade, and you still, despite everything, you still get mic time, is proof that you are still the product of nepotism.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to complain too much, but I'm going to. Ruby Riott is too fucking good for this shit.
Yes.
I just want to say that full stop. And look, I don't want to be overly negative because I know like last time I got really negative. I know like Foster particularly was like, wow, that's depressing. So I apologize to any of our audience members, but I just got to get this shit out. I feel like she's been robbed this year because of Ronda Rousey and everything else going on. Because
of Ronda Rousey's existence, basically.
Yeah. She should be fucking women's champion. Even if her reign shouldn't be going on right now, she should have had a title reign this year. Full stop. Like, I don't even care if it was for like a month. She should have held that championship, and she should be running shit with the Riott Squad.
Yeah.
This woman is a solid enough heel, I think, to carry your fucking brand both in and out of the ring. and she's doing this fucking shit. And I'll even give her credit because look, I know a lot of people were giving the segment shit with the Jim Neidhart image on the table and stuff like that. It is horrible fucking material, but I still like Ruby's delivery, and I still like how she carries herself. So I think even
her delivery is really different. I think is also something that goes unappreciated is that she doesn't talk like any other women in the company. It's so different from everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I really dig her, and I know that's a very subjective thing, but I think if it wasn't for people like the Rondas and the Nias and, Alexa for most of the year until she was, going through this shit recently, which I'm sorry she's going through it, but fuck me. Like, it's just women's wrestling on Raw specifically, because SmackDown, it's doing okay. I always fear that SmackDown could regress at a moment's notice, especially with the Fox deal and the shakeup that they want to do on that half. But, they're doing all right for the moment. Raw, though, is a fucking dumpster fire. How Ember, Ruby, Sasha, Bayley, all them really haven't been in the conversation at all this year is really fucking disgusting, actually. And I'm sorry if I seem overly salty, but I've got to say it because I'm really beginning to hate the Raw product, like on a whole other level. Natalya, I'm not actually going to level my usual criticisms because they're tired and everybody knows that I don't like her at this point. I wanted more to just affirm how great Ruby is and how it's a fucking travesty that she's going to lose this match. Because Natalya is winning. Like, it's
dude, another disagreement. I'm telling you, dude, yeah. See, because I think Natalya is going to put Liv and Sarah through tables, but then Ruby is going to use that as a distraction and be able to put her through.
See, dude, and now, because you didn't get on your pulpit earlier with me, I'm not necessarily going to get on my pulpit earlier with you, but to me, I look at this storyline, and it's so paint by numbers. Like, the heel brings up somebody's family member, and then the face just gets their vindication, and the heel gets their comeuppance.
Absolutely, dude. In traditional storytelling, you're right, but this is WWE where all the heels are right about everything.
That's also a fair point. And you know something? If there was any time for WWE to stick to their own guns and not really think about shit in the traditional wrestling sense, it's fucking this. Because to see Ruby put Natalya through the table that she made specifically for this, I will laugh and I will live for fucking eternity. I can already see myself assimilating with the grander cosmos if that fucking happens. And I am this close. If I wasn't a professional, my hand would already be down and you can do the rest. Like, it's just so
down his pants, people, down his pants.
Yeah, exactly. I meant penis. It wasn't a euphemism. I love everything about that. It just is so fucking dispiriting, dude, when you've got the leader, you've got the faction, because Liv Morgan especially, I honestly thought Sarah Logan would be in this spot, but Liv Morgan actually has been the real, I don't want to call her a lackey because that's disrespectful, but I guess the support that has really come into her own. And if the Riott Squad ever dissipates, I think she's got a solid future, in the WWE women's division on either brand. Sarah Logan's kind of a question mark. I'm still waiting to see where she goes. But Ruby,
I think the big thing that shines through with Liv is that she can talk, and Sarah Logan really, like, we've seen her try and talk, and we got gay meat out of it.
Exactly. And I adore Ruby. Like, I really love everything about this woman. And it's funny too, because in NXT, like, I liked her in NXT, but there's just, ever since she's assimilated the Riott Squad, and I've just seen her, like, go out and do her thing, especially on social media, like her Twitter game and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman is like really underrated and under the radar. And I just keep waiting for her to get her fucking moment. But that moment isn't going to come. Because look, no disrespect to Ruby, because I don't mean it as a slight to her. But if somebody like Ember Moon, who actually did more in NXT than Ruby did, is getting fucking overshadowed and fucking having to fight off Nia Jax and Tamina every week, what fucking prayer does Ruby Riott have? Like, it's just so fucking depressing. And again, to bring it full circle again, I think Natalya is winning this because traditional storytelling, which, I mean, you did make a fair counter argument to your point, but it's just, she invoked my family, and Natalya already got put through the table once. And I just feel like Ruby has yet to get her turn because Ruby never wins the big matches. That's Ruby Riott, and that's the fucking crime here. So I fucking hate it. I hate everything about it. But Natalya's fucking winning this, and I'm once again going to be sitting here wondering how this women's division is going to be anything other than a crock of shit when all the talent that they have, you just get blank stares and it's like, job to Ronda, job to Natalya, job to both of them in a tag match. Fuck off.
Yeah, you pretty much put the nail on the head with that last statement. Fuck off. Exactly. The Raw Women's Division and the Raw Tag Division are shells of what they could be. I'm not even going to say their former selves, because I don't know if they've ever been all that good. But they're definitely shells of what they could be. And it's really, really depressing. So, yeah, we've got differing opinions on each of the first 3 matches, which are meaningless. And then we get to another meaningless match that I think we're both actually looking forward to here. Drew McIntyre versus Finn Balor.
Oh, yes. Finally, talented people. Well, I mean, talented people in a context that I don't hate. So, like, everything's come together. Because at least in those last 3 matches, I would say Elias and Ruby didn't deserve the first burn. But yeah, Drew and Finn. Dude, actually, you know what? You go first on this one. I feel like I've been talking a lot for this preview, so you get the ball for this one.
All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to this match. Definitely looking forward to this more than any other match that doesn't have some kind of stipulation to it. And even most of the matches that do have stipulations to them. But still, man, I feel like this is going to be a great moment. I really do think that Finn Balor is kind of low-key being booked the best as far as the baby faces go on Monday Night Raw. Like, he's being given the most to work with as a babyface on Raw, because like the other baby faces on Raw are either getting their asses handed regularly or, you know, needing help from Finn Balor specifically to win anything. You know, like Finn has kind of grown into the face of Raw in a way. It's kind of strange to say, because it seems like they're still really kind of positioning Rollins as that guy. But the one time that Balor had to miss a Raw because of an illness, that was the opening that Rollins was able to kind of get that role, though, because prior to this past Monday, it felt to me like they were really positioning Balor as the top face on the brand. So I'm really curious if that will continue going forward. And the Rollins kind of, you know, being the voice of the people last week was more of a one-time thing, or if Rollins is going to get the ball now and get the opportunity to run with it. So, I am going to end up, you know, picking Drew to win, just because he already lost, and I don't think that they would give him 2 losses in such a short time period with how much they really do want to protect him, it seems like. But I'm really excited to see what they do with Balor going forward, and I'm hoping that it's more than nothing. So yeah, I'll end it there, and you can talk now.
Yeah, man. Really loved how you opened that, because you actually made me look at Rollins' promo in a whole new way. Because you're actually right. In the weeks leading up to Balor missing that one Raw, it probably would have made more sense from a storyline perspective for him to deliver that promo. Just because Seth's been so occupied with Dean Ambrose. So that's actually a really excellent point you made, dude. I'm really glad you brought that up. Because that just shows you the precariousness of this industry. You get injured or sick, you know, even one day could be just one day too many for you to, lose your spot. And, you know, Finn's been in a very intriguing place, because I think he's getting just enough where he probably wouldn't quit the company. But I got to wonder if he's ever frustrated that he's not higher up on the card. But that's neither here nor there. And you want to talk about a guy that's going to go higher up on the card. I mean, Drew fucking McIntyre. I already have my thoughts about what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be this year, and I'm going to start getting into that conversation a few matches from now. But I guarantee you, because WrestleMania 2019, that's 35, correct? That's WrestleMania 35? Yes?
Yes, I believe it is, yes.
I'd say WrestleMania 36 belongs to Drew McIntyre. I think this guy is a main event waiting to fucking happen, and not only waiting to happen, but that WWE is going to will to happen. I mean, he's the guy. From the look to how he carries himself. I'm so glad that we're doing preview and predictions, because I know we don't do like Raw reviews or SmackDown reviews regularly. With SmackDown, we only do live reactions. But I was even telling you, and I think I even said in the Discord, I love how when Drew lost a match to fucking Dolph Ziggler, that everybody was like fucking raging about, and he kind of raged in character, and he took it out on Finn Balor, which was part of the build-up for this match. He comes out and he says, everybody loses. The Undertaker lost to WrestleMania. Andre the Giant lost. I don't think he mentioned Goldberg, but I was thinking Goldberg. But the idea that Drew can take losing and use that as a means of putting himself in the same class as those fucking guys, it's genius. It's such a great way to actually make you look better by losing. It's really insane how he was able to pull off that Jedi mind trick. Yeah. And that's just further proof that he's the fucking guy for this. Because notice he didn't use like the common like top babyface trope where it's like, oh yeah, I get down sometimes, but I get up. Like, no, he found a way to really make the loss work for him. And I'm like, God damn, this guy has everything. And
you realize though that you're crediting the Raw writing team though, because like I don't think he writes his own promo.
And broken clock and all that shit. If it's crediting the Raw writing team, absolutely, it was a great line to have him put. But I will give him credit for this. It's not just a line, but how you say it, and you can only control a person's voice box so much. The way this guy carries himself and how he delivers his lines with the confidence and the assuredness, like, yeah, I lost, but I'm still a legend in the fucking making. No disrespect to Finn Balor, because I think he has a great look, and I honestly feel like Finn's been done dirty the last little bit of his career. But this match with Drew, it's just a formality. I mean, Drew is on to much bigger and better things than this. Again, I'm already penciling him in for the WrestleMania 36 main event. And depending on how WWE wants to go, maybe I'm even a little late to the party here because WrestleMania 35 hasn't happened yet. But I give Drew the win, and I think it's only a matter of time before we're really talking about him in the main event and as Universal Champion. And for this guy, that time can't come soon enough. So I'm really excited for this. But yeah, Drew with the win.
Yeah, we agree. The first time we agree, of course, is Drew McIntyre dominating everyone. So yeah, makes sense. Next up, though, we've got the Fabulous Truth versus Mahalicia. It is R-Truth and Carmella taking on Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Winning team, both members become the number 30 entrants in their respective Royal Rumbles in January.
Ashton,
I'm not a big fan of the mixed match challenge. I'm not a big fan of the way that it's been treated as kind of a joke. But I do like the idea of having a way to earn your way into that number 30 spot. The downside here, though, is number 30 is not going to be a surprise this year. And that's always such a big deal.
Yeah, like this match is kind of fascinating in a way, particularly my emotional response to it, because I started out angry because I'm like, oh man, really, number 30 is going to go to like one of these people, to kind of meh about it because, well, when's the last time number 30 won a Rumble, which I actually think it was just last year because I think Asuka was number 30 in the Women's Rumble, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, that was Nikki Bella, I think. Wasn't. That was Nikki Bella, I think that was number 30. But even so, like, then my original point stands. When's the last time number 30 really even, did anything meaningful in the Rumble? But then I did get angry again.
Edge, or not Edge. Yeah, Edge. Back in what, like 09?
Yeah, or wasn't it 2010? Yeah,
10. It was 10.
So, but dude, I think that's a long enough span of time for my point to stand.
And you know what? He might not have even been 30. He might have been like 27 or 29 or something like that. So
yeah, like, so, but anyway, though, like, I kind of went back to being frustrated again for exactly the point you just mentioned. Like, you've taken all the surprise out of it because 30 is the last entrant. That's when people are like, oh, is my debut going to happen here? Or is an injured superstar going to return? Now, it could be interesting because here's the thing. Either they're going to play this straight and the winning team like gets their Rumble numbers, or what I could see happening, especially if the heels win, I could see a babyface maybe like taking them out to a pop because nobody wants to fucking see Jinder and they take their spot. Or you could reverse it and Truth gets taken out and a heel takes their number 30 spot. I don't know. WWE could, blow up their own concept at any time. I think there's definitely a precedent for them kind of reneging on their own shit. But acting like they're going to play it straight, I'm actually going to give Carmella and Truth the win here because they've had a story going on even before the MMC. I think this would be quite a payoff that they go from two people that Truth wanted to pin Carmella to get a United States Championship match, very antagonistic. Carmella was still a heel at the time, to now Carmella's a face and they've kind of gotten on the same page, to they win the mixed match challenge and get the number 30 spot for both of their Rumbles and they get to go on a vacation together, which I'm sure would be like some stupid SmackDown vignette in a few weeks with WWE trying their hands at comedy. So I actually am going to go with Fab Truth, with R-Truth and Carmella, just because I think this is the conclusion to their personal story. Whereas, Mahalicia just really doesn't make any sense to me. So, Fab Truth.
I definitely agree with you. And you could also look at this as their way of rewarding Truth for sticking around as long as he has, because the 30 spot in the Rumble and really just locking down a spot in the Rumble at all and kind of being guaranteed that spot, which again, it's not really guaranteed because of what you brought up earlier, but I think that's a really cool thing for Truth to be able to be like, on paper, at least guaranteed a spot in the Royal Rumble for the first time in a little while. I don't remember the last time he was in a Rumble.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting that these were the stakes. I feel like the MMC, the first year was kind of like a testing of concept, and it was cool that they were doing charity. But now they've added stakes that us wrestling fans actually give a shit about. I don't know if they were the right stakes. I think they were unique enough. I don't know if they're going to tinker with it anymore if they do this again next year. But, at least it gets hype early for Royal Rumble, which, I mean, is kind of what I go back to at the beginning of preview predictions. Is like this.
I was really hoping that Bailey and Finn would win the whole thing. And it's really unfortunate that Finn got sick when he did, because, man, that would have been perfect for those two to win, get the 30 spots.
So let me just say this. He really did get sick then, because I almost thought, I wondered if it was a work, because he was already booked to work McIntyre for TLC and they needed
I think that the work was that he was injured, not sick. I think that the actual story was he was sick and wasn't able to show up. So they tried to cover it up by trying to say that Corbin injured him or something.
And this is the match we're left with. So we both agree on Fab Truth winning. I've got nothing else to say unless you do. We can move on.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fabulous Truth going to win. And then our next match, we're getting into championship matches. There's only one non-championship left, but it's also arguably the most important match for the Raw brand. So we're going to cover that second to last. But for now, we're in championship match mode. And let's talk about the championship match that not only means the least, but is also the easiest to predict. And the match on this card that I'm looking forward to the second least, only second to Orton Mysterio. Ronda Rousey defending the Raw Women's Championship against Nia Jax.
I hate it. Okay. You want me to go first on this? Because I just seem so enthused, right?
You know what? I'll go first on this. I'll bite the bullet on this one, brother. So
brave bastard.
The reason that I can do it though is because I haven't listened to a single Nia Jax promo the entire buildup of this. I've been smart, and whenever they say Nia's going to be on TV next, or even Ronda's going to be on TV next, I change the channel and watch Monday Night Football. So thank goodness for alternatives, right? Yeah. So as far as the buildup to this, I have basically no idea what the buildup has been, other than Nia saying that she's a face breaker and that she's going to, do whatever to Ronda. But at the end of the day, you have Ronda retaining the title. It could go very interesting. This isn't like a lockdown, Ronda's obvious the retaining or anything like that. It could definitely go the other way. I just think I'm going to try and stick to the kiss method and go with Ronda based on, please don't let her be the one to win the Rumble this year.
You know what? I'm going to adopt a new policy for myself when it comes to ranting and being angry. I'm only going to rant if I feel really passionate about it and I feel like I'm taking up a just cause, like Ruby Riott getting more and better visibility than what she's getting. Rousey ain't worth my fucking rants. She can go fuck herself. So I'm just going to keep this.
Rousey's not, but I don't know. Nia's kind of rant-worthy too.
Nia can go fuck herself too. It kind of offends me that she's even employed. But... she's employed, and I'm really concerned that she's going to win this match and get a legitimate championship push because of injuring Becky. Which, if she does, I'm not going to rant today, but live reactions do exist for a reason.
And we've used live reactions as a platform to rant before.
And I will gleefully use it again, my friend. I ain't afraid to die. I ain't afraid to kill careers either. So I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to rant today. I will keep it simple. I will say that Ronda's going to retain. And really, I just hate everything about this fucking match. I think they're both awful. I think Nia especially is a dumpster fire. And Ronda, I don't know where people are getting this idea that she's doing so well. Like, she's not the worst, clearly. Because, again, she's working with the worst, so you can't be the worst for working with the worst. But, you know, I really think that she's been taking spots from more deserving people. Again, the idea that Ember, Ruby, Sasha and Bayley have to ask for tag titles that don't even exist yet. I'm guessing that's part of a greater payoff. I'm hoping they're probably going to be crowned at Mania.
You mean kind of like how the anger management was going to be part of a bigger payoff, right?
You know, Ashton, just because you're right doesn't mean you have to kill my dreams along with it. But
I'm just saying, like, I hated that idea immediately because of the fact that it would mean that they're not going to be feuding anymore, and I hate it even more now knowing what's happened.
Yeah. So that's just where I'm laying my cards, guys. It's just, it sucks that Ronda's existence has pretty much ruined everything.
Which I said a long time ago, she cast a shadow on the whole division.
Yeah. But I would still
take female Brock.
But I would still take Ronda over Nia, especially because if she wins the championship, based on the bedrock that she's built to win that title, that's just a whole different kind of sickening that I'm not willing to stomach. So Ronda better fucking win, and hopefully I won't rant, but we'll see what happens. Let's move on to a match that I may give a shit about. What's next?
Up next is the SmackDown Championship match, and we would have talked about this later, and it would have meant more if it had a stipulation, but it doesn't. So we're talking about it now. We've got SmackDown tag titles on the line, and we've got the Bar, who are the current champions, defending against the New Day and the Usos. We had an awesome rap battle segment on Tuesday. And now we've got this match, and it's actually, I do want you to go first on this one because I need time to think about who I'm going to pick here.
All right, well, I'm glad to help you with my verbosity. In a way, I do like all three of these teams. I'm not crazy about the Bar because I'm always going to be that Cesaro stan that's like, when's that singles push coming? You know, because you started asking for it like 8 fucking years ago or more, and it still hasn't happened, and you still think it's going to happen, even though it's not. But I can credit the Bar. If you go out with the shitty writing that WWE's been producing and you make the comedy gold that you do, like, it's so William Regal-esque to go out when you know you're a serious competitor and you're like, you know, smash mouth, grappling, all that stuff, and you go and you do something that absurd. It's like peak Regal, and I think that's why I was smiling like, ice, shamey. And it's like, oh, God. Even Vanilla Ice himself commented that it was so bad, it was awesome. So I commend those guys for being willing to make fools of themselves and not take themselves too seriously, because I think that's how you succeed in segments like this. It was great build up to the triple threat. New Day has just been on a whole other level. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that they really haven't exhausted their mileage yet. They feel like they've been together forever, and they're still going. And the Usos, that's really the bright spot of this fucking story to me, is that the Usos are hot again. I mean, these guys.
Yeah, I was actually going to even say to you, like, I'm kind of concerned. I hope this doesn't get booted to the pre-show. Like, I could definitely see them doing that because of the Usos, because the Usos just seem to constantly be getting kicked to pre-shows for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. And, dude, I look at this. These are 3 hungry teams. They're making the best of what they're given. Honestly, I feel like they're almost underappreciated in a way, because I know we've got things like Becky and some other really good things that are really visible. And because these guys are in the tag division, they may not be given the same consideration. But they've really been doing the best they can with the stuff that they're given, and they've really been trying to make quality content. I commend them for that. I think this is going to be a great match. I think it would have been so much better if it was a ladder match. But I'm torn too. I'm giving yourself time, and I guess we need to give each other time, because I don't know. On one hand, I'm torn in 2 directions. Either 1, Usos win, or 2, Bar retains, but pinning the New Day, thus continuing the feud with the Usos. And I think I find the Bar scenario more attractive, so I'm going to go with the Bar retaining.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sign on to that. I think the Bar are going to win by pinning one of the members of the New Day, and then we get Bar Usos for a little while longer. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I could even wonder, but see, Mania is still such a little ways away, because Mania is in April this year, right? Like April 7th, I want to say, or April 5th.
It's like 6th, 7th, somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if like that would be stretching it on too long. Yeah, it is April 7th. I just looked. And you know, I don't know if they'd get their crowning moment at Mania, but I do think the Usos are due for another tag title run. I mean, they've got the momentum right now. I don't see any like NXT tag.
I mean, if we get more Uso rap battles, I'm cool with it.
Oh, absolutely. They killed it. Yeah, they killed it again. So yeah, I'm just gonna go bar via pinning the New Day because they really have felt like the third wheel. I mean, they've been a quality third wheel, but they've still felt like a third wheel. I still feel like this is the bar in the Usos story, especially because they were the teams that were highlighted in the rap battle. So
Yeah.
in a way, I feel like that was WWE's kind of way of saying these two teams are the ones you should focus on, and New Day are just in the background. So yeah. All right,
man. Well, that's tag titles for SmackDown. No tag titles for Raw on this show because Raw's tag division is a fucking dumpster fire. I feel like we've been using that phrase a lot during this show.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Yeah, I know you've used it at least twice. That's my first time using it, but still, just as a team, we're using it a lot. But up next, let's talk about the Cruiserweight Championship match. Buddy Murphy defending the Cruiserweight Championship against the man he won it from, Cedric Alexander. Who you got here, brother?
Oh, dude, this is going to be so fucking good. I've kind of cooled down on Cedric in a way, which I think is natural in wrestling. You know, people go through cycles. I'm sure there may be a time when I, get interested in Cedric again, but I am loving everything Buddy Murphy. And here's the thing, too. This match, I actually got more excited for this match because of Mustafa Ali and his performance with Daniel Bryan. Because I'm thinking if these guys can go out and kill it again, and if they get a main card spot, I mean, if Murphy were to lose this, which I'll just say right at the outset, I don't think he's going to. I do think Buddy Murphy is going to retain his championship. But if he were to lose this, that may not be the worst thing. Because if Mustafa Ali is working with fucking Daniel Bryan, can we please get Buddy Murphy working with the likes of Seth Rollins or Rey Mysterio or fucking somebody, big time. What a great package this man is. The way
basically, let's just get Buddy Murphy more mainstream exposure.
Hell fucking yeah, dude. I mean, the guy is cut like a fucking beast. The way he carries himself, he looks like a fucking champion. I don't think his promos are bad. He's nothing. I think promos are his biggest weakness, to be fair. I've never really cared for him too much on the mic, but I think he's passable. I think he's a guy that can get you from point A to point B and point C. And as I think Shane Helms tweeted recently, think about what promo is short for. Promotion. If you're not promoting your match, you ain't worth shit. I think Buddy Murphy is a guy that knows how to promote his matches well enough, and that's good enough for me. So yeah, I think he pretty much checks every box, kind of a half a check mark in the promo department, but again, good enough. Get him more main roster exposure. Get him a big match with somebody. I'd love to see him. I don't think that's going to happen now. Again, we will get to that match, and I have a good bit to say. But I don't think he's going to answer Seth Rollins' Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge, but just something in that vein. Get him somewhere big. That's where this guy belongs. I think him and Cedric are going to kill it. I think it's going to be an outstanding contest. But I do think
I hope that they're allowed to do their thing on the main card again. Yeah,
fuck yeah. Yeah,
if I had to pick what matches were on the pre-show, I would pick Ruby Natalya and the MMC finals. Like those would be my two pre-show matches personally.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. I just want to see these guys tear it up. Especially because we're not watching 205 Live regularly anymore, so it's kind of hindered my predicting ability in a way, because logically, anytime you say that a champion retains a title, you're either saying, okay, this person is going to win it, just not right now, or another entity is going to win it altogether. And given that this is Cedric's rematch, if I'm picking Buddy to retain, like, it's kind of hard for me to conceive who's going to beat him for it. But maybe it would be fucking Mustafa. Maybe Mustafa gets a rematch and he wins it the second time around. I don't know. But I don't think Cedric is going to be a two-time Cruiserweight champion. But the sooner that Buddy drops that Cruiserweight title, potentially the better, given that the Cruiserweights are finally breaking through with Lucha House Party on Raw and Mustafa having a singles match with the fucking WWE champion and actually looking good in it. So
that was kind of a big deal.
And you know what, though? And that's another thing, too. Buddy Murphy really can't lose. Because on the other end, if I'm arguing with myself, him holding the Cruiserweight title isn't a bad thing either. Because he's still kind of waiting for his turn while these developments are still maturing. Like, it's one thing to get on them on the embryonic level, but if this is really a proven concept now, like, okay, we're doing other stuff with the cruiserweights, then Buddy Murphy can kind of have that sigh of relief. Like, oh shit, as soon as I drop this, I'm going to get my chance. So you kind of can't lose, I think, if you're Murphy, because you're the champion, so you're getting exposure, and now your division's doing more shit. So the moment you drop it, you could see a little bit of an elevation. So he's in a good pocket right now, and if he keeps performing like the way he has been, he'll be secure. So I'm rooting for these guys to tear it down, but the Juggernaut to retain.
Hell to the yeah. I'm with you for sure. Murphy to retain. Next up, we've got Seth Rollins defending the Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose. No stipulation on this. What the fuck?
Dude, again, I'm going to volunteer to go first here, and I actually really
No, you know what? You've been going first a lot. I want to take this one first. What the fuck are they doing with Dean Ambrose? Why is it that he had this passionate, angry, pent-up, frustration-based heel turn, and now all of a sudden he's a germaphobe who doesn't want to be near other people because they gross him out?
It is just probably the gravest wrestling crime of 2018 that they botched a Dean Ambrose fucking heel turn.
How do you do that?
Dude, I don't know if our wider audience knows this, but I said to you repeatedly immediately after Ambrose turned heel, that I went on YouTube and I watched an hour's worth. I don't do that with fucking people. I don't do that with Punk. I don't do that with maestros on the microphone very often. Listen to an hour of Dean Ambrose fucking promos, and like 80 to 90% of them were him as a heel. So I was fucking into it. I was like, yeah, we're fucking doing this. And then he starts talking about germs, and he starts making lame one-note jokes about cities, and it's just so superficial, and there's no substance. And I'm like, to quote Heel Book, this is Dean fucking Ambrose. Again, to reiterate to you and then kind of put the ball back in your court, how the fuck do you do that? So please continue.
No, that's Jesus. My thing though, is like they took, and the thing is, like, I mean, here's the thing. We already know WWE's writing isn't good, so what I'm about to say isn't a revelation to anybody. But you know that their writing is bad when you have passionate, emotional moments in that heel turn, like Seth telling Dean, "Oh, it's all right," as Dean is grabbing him to do more damage, and then like Dean saying, "You know, watch your mouth, watch what you say," and then you asked for this thing right before the dirty deeds floor, like. There was so much narrative in that beatdown, and what did it lead to? It led to dick all.
It's such a fucking shame. Like, this should be a feud that's so personal and so intense. Like, fuck a one-match feud, like a one pay-per-view feud. This is something that could even culminate at a Mania to me if you played your cards right. But they have done so fucking...
that's the thing, like the playing of the cards right is the problem.
Exactly, because now, dude, where they've left me, and maybe this is where my apathy for Raw and my like, it's bad, but it's whatever. I think this might just be where I cross the threshold into hatred, because you can vouch for me here. How long have I waited for Dean Ambrose to turn heel? How long have I been telling you?
The thing is, as soon as he got injured, you started talking about how him coming back as a heel would be amazing.
Yeah. So thank you, because I wanted you to vouch for me on that.
And by the way, just for those of you that are not as aware of the timeline, he got injured around this time last year.
Yeah. So, like, thank you, because I really wanted you to vouch for me, to, like, show everybody how much I was fucking anticipating this. Because, and you especially, because you did the fucking Dean Ambrose compilation. You know what this guy can do on a mic better than anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking here for it. Let's fucking do it. And you do this? Like, I'm sorry.
And it's again though, it's WWE's whole thing with heat. Like their weird obsession with just heat.
But see, like, I know I say this a lot as kind of a throwaway, but I really mean it with like 100% of my being when I say, fuck you. Like, I know I say it a lot, like really frustrated, like, oh, fuck you, WWE. But no, seriously, like, fuck you. you fucked up something that was supposed to be so beautiful, like a real quality heel in this era that a babyface Kevin Owens could come back and feud with, that a Sami Zayn could feud with. William Regal, and I'll never forget that he said this about Dean Ambrose, said, that man is everybody's perfect opponent for the next 10 years. Do you know when you're really a perfect opponent? When you're a great fucking heel. Because everybody wants to see you get your ass beat, and you make every fucking babyface look good. And he could have been that guy. And honestly, WWE did the unthinkable. They made Dean Ambrose just like everybody else. And I'm sorry people can say that that's hyperbolic, but come on, dude. These promos are so fucking one note and so fucking standard. How is he any different from Jinder Mahal? I can't even believe that I'm saying that, but it's true. Think about Jinder Mahal's promos.
Right. Really, the only thing that separates him from everyone else is the delivery, and even that can't save the bullshit level content that they're giving him.
It's just, I watch it, and it's like, I really think that was the moment. That was really the moment where it's like, you know, it's all right, but it's whatever. To, oh my God, I hate Monday Night Raw because I'm watching this with a kind of abject horror, knowing that I can't do a fucking thing about it. I'm not talking about like, oh, turning it off. I mean, changing the situation materially. I can't do a fucking thing about it. And I'm watching this guy that can own a room like that, cutting fucking promos like this. And you could have made the Intercontinental. I was excited for the Intercontinental title because I'm like, wow, you had Seth Ziggler, which admittedly was a bit overdone, but you know what? They really did something. I got to give them credit. You know, their SummerSlam match especially I thought was very good. And then you go from that to Seth Dean, like, yeah, this is great for the title. And he's such a fucking one-dimensional heel. And to the point where I don't care. But see, now let me switch gears here. Seth Rollins. I think they're pivoting Seth Rollins to get back into the main event. And I'd be super excited about that if I knew that Dean Ambrose was a really hot heel with the Intercontinental title, but it's not a complete win. It's only really a win for Seth Rollins and his fans, which is still something to celebrate.
Right.
But I am going to go with Dean to win because I'm saying it right now, and I will fully admit to jumping the gun because I know Royal Rumble is still a little ways away. Seth Rollins is now my number one pick to win the Royal Rumble next year. I really think he's going to win it. He's going to go on to Mania. Do I think he's going to win the Universal title? I'm not going to go that far yet, but I think he's going to be a guy to really look out for to get that Universal Championship match at Mania. And to do that, he needs to drop the gold that's already around his waist. Just the biggest fucking crime is it's to a heel like this. Because, Ashton, you could have done this so perfectly. You could have had Seth drop the Intercontinental title to Dean Ambrose. With Dean as a quality heel, I mean, you could have done this. You could have had Seth win the Rumble, maybe even eliminating Dean last. Go on to Mania, beat Brock. Maybe Dean holds on to the title a little bit longer because you don't want to rush it. But even say around SummerSlam time, you go right back to these two again, only this time it's for the Universal Championship. You could have done it. You could have done. You were so close.
And like the thing is, like the only thing worse than Dean Ambrose turning heel and suddenly deciding that he is going to be like a traditional one-note WWE style I don't like you people fan heel. The only thing worse than that is that they teased more. It's that we got that moment in the beatdown where he told Seth, you know, watch your mouth, and then you asked for this line and that kind of stuff. We were hinted that there would be more to his heel turn, that there was a reason for his heel turn, that Seth said or did something to trigger Dean to make him turn on Seth. We were teased that there was going to be substance to this. And it's like they just changed writing teams overnight and forgot what the original reason was and just decided to go away with it.
And see, this is where I think I need to just make one more point, and then we can kind of stick a pin in this if you want, move on to our next match. I get that some people actually do need help on their promos. Hell, I heard something a while back that Seth may not even still be that good at promos on his own, and his stuff is heavily scripted. He's just gotten better at delivery. Right. That's fair enough. But you really need, what I'm going to say, because I don't want my anger to lead to pendulum logic. There's always a middle ground, I think, and I think that's when, you know, stuff like this works best. You've got to really sort through and compartmentalize people that you give bullet points to because they have a voice, and people that it's more dialogue heavy because maybe their delivery's good, but their voice isn't where you would personally like it to be. And you need to really be serious about that introspection and just that looking, inward with what you can write and who you can write for, and then outward with, okay, who can we kind of lessen our burden for and give more autonomy to? Because Ambrose, you can tell, is scripted all the fuck. And that should not be. This guy should be a bullet points guy. Because again, promo is short for promotion. At most. If you just wanted to give him bullet points to be like, okay, Dean, mention TLC, mention this, mention that, and then just have him do the rest, fine. Or if you trust him enough, because he's a grown-ass man that's been doing this for fucking how long? I mean, he fucking, dropped out of high school. Like, this has been his whole life. If you look at his life story, like, this was it for him. If you want to fucking trust him to be like, hey, go and promote the match. Not everybody has to be scripted. And like, again, notice how I'm phrasing this here, because I don't want to take the piss out of the writers, because I even saw recently a former writer say writing so many hours a week is hard. Yeah, I agree. So lessen the fucking load. If you just give people that are competent, like, hey, can you do this for us? Yeah, they can, because they're making the big money. Like, if you can't do that, I'd really start questioning, should you be making this kind of money? Lessen your own fucking load and know your limits. You can't write for a Dean Ambrose. You've proven that. Give him the fucking ball. So I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck all the writers, whatever. I want to try and take more of a middle approach. But you guys have
and to me, the problem isn't even the writers right now. I mean, the problem historically has definitely been, at least partially because of the writers. But lately, the problem really lies squarely on the shoulders of Vince McMahon, because you even read that in recent weeks, Vince has been rewriting the whole show. He's doing everything. So it's Vince McMahon that is responsible for this ridiculous, atrocious Dean Ambrose character that we're having to deal with, instead of the more nuanced version that we could have gotten.
I see. And then it comes to a point, and I'm not trying to be like a Billy Badass here. Like, I'm genuinely asking, right? I'm not talking about like in the sense of taking a stand or whatever. But like at that point, if Vince is already doing anything, or everything rather, why hire anybody? Like, I would honestly love to look at him if I didn't have fear for my job security and say, why did you even hire me? If you're just going to do my job for me, like, why aren't I at home with my kids right now, or just at home, by myself or whatever? Like, why are you doing this if you paid me to? Either you're going to get your money's worth or you're not. Like, that's just foolish on all. Like, if you're going to do everything yourself, why waste the money? You're already spending so much in talent acquisition. You might as well just keep focusing on that, because you're clearly doing everything else. To me, dude, it is so fucking infuriating and so stupid. And I don't want it to be a thing where I'm just zoning all my anger in at one thing, because that's so unproductive. But it's just such a massive defect with WWE as a whole, that they have gotten so big, and yet one person is still doing everything, which makes no fucking sense. How big
it's kind of getting to the point that we're both kind of slowly starting to realize that 99% of the answers to questions that we have about why certain things in WWE are bad, the answers are just because a 70-something-year-old man is in charge of the product.
It's really become similar to our political discourses, where you always recourse to get money out of politics. With WWE, it's really become get Vince out of WWE. Because the moment you do that, the moment you get the clot out, the blood starts moving more freely, and he's the clot. That's the only way I could really see it. So to bring it full circle, Dean's going to win, but only half of us are going to win that are really invested in Seth Rollins, because I think he's going to get a main event push from here. And Dean, with these quality of promos, I mean, maybe he'll turn it around, but I'm not looking forward to his Intercontinental Championship reign, which is a fucking travesty, because I definitely should have been. So we both agree, right, that Dean's winning the title?
Yeah, I do think Dean's going to win. I do, yeah. And the really interesting thing going forward is going to be who is going to feud with Dean after he gets through with Seth, because his whole basis for his heel turn was supposed to be about Seth Rollins. So when he's done with Seth, like, what does he have left to do? It's like when the fucking Roadrunner gets caught by Wile E. Coyote. What else does Wile E. Coyote have to do with his life? And he ends up hanging himself,
And until he finds Jesus Christ, of course, at least from the Cavalcade cartoons. But that's why I picked Elias to beat Lashley, because I do think Elias and Dean are on a collision course.
Really? I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think that they're going to collide.
I mean, if
not right now, like maybe in 2019 or 2020, but I don't think that that's going to be like an immediate thing.
Well, I mean, Mania is in 2019, and who knows? Maybe that would be Elias's Mania match, Intercontinental title against Dean Ambrose. Who knows?
Maybe. That's possible.
Yeah, I mean, because again, if the original rumor was true that Elias was supposed to win the IC title off Seth when he was a heel because of Dean Ambrose, they may want to just kind of move some of the parts around. So who knows?
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Well, we'll see what happens, man.
We will see what happens. I don't know. My mom's over here freaking out because she doesn't want her two favorites to beat each other up.
Dean, I don't even want to say Dean kind of did it because we just went through the whole thing about where blame should go. But yeah, I'm kind of rooting for Elias in that sense, and not even because Dean's a heel. I want to root for the scumbag. What the fuck is the writing doing to me? Let's move on. Christ.
All right. After the Seth Dean match, we've got Daniel Bryan WWE Championship match. AJ Styles. I got to tell you, man, this is one of the really these last three matches, and really two of the last three, and then Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander, and McIntyre Balor too. Those are the matches that I'm really excited about. So it looks like there are actually four on this card that I'm really looking forward to. That's actually a higher number than most cards. But yeah, man, like the excitement level for me is off the charts about Bryan Styles again. This is one of those rare matches where you could just kind of do it over and over again, and I don't feel the wear ever.
Oh yeah, especially because this does feel like a different match because now Bryan's firmly in the heel camp for this match.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, yeah, because the first match they were both pure baby faces, no denying that. Then the second match was the catalyst for Bryan to turn heel. So it's like each match is like in a different narrative phase, and that's how you keep it fresh. And I really appreciate that. But I'm sorry, I feel like I kind of took the ball away from you a little bit there. Please.
No, dude. I've been going first the last couple if you wanted to go.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm with you, man. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm sorry. Maybe it's hypocritical of me, but again, one thing we've been saying a lot in this preview and predictions is like, oh, a character's delivery. Oh, they carry themselves. Oh, their delivery. And again, I'm sure this material with like an F- player, if you will, would just totally fucking flop. But Bryan, man, his commitment to talking about, with the sheep, I've never heard of anything called a carbon hoof print. And it's like, that line should be bad, but his delivery is just like, I'm grinning like an idiot. And I'm like, do not stop telling me what a terrible person I am. It is the best, like, 20 minutes to a half hour of my fucking week. He is so good at what he does. That promo exchange with Mustafa Ali, you are a very small man. Why are you driving an SUV? Oh, it feels so good to laugh. Yeah, man. Bryan is where it's at. He's fucking killing it. I'm loving his reign as WWE champion. And dude, can we just take a second? Because I feel like I've been really down the last few matches. I just want to take a moment as a fan to talk about how fucking cool it is that only a little bit ago we were talking about how this guy's career was over and was he ever going to get cleared. And then I always kept in my heart the suspicion, okay, you're cleared, but they're going to handle you with kid gloves for the rest of your career. You're never going to get near the main event again. And he's WWE fucking champion.
Yep.
Like that. For everything that I hate about how WWE does wrestling.
Like for everything that Raw screws up, SmackDown manages to get right.
Yeah, because SmackDown, here's the thing. I have my criticisms at times with SmackDown too, but they are nowhere near the dumpster fire that Raw is, if for no other reason, because we've got Daniel Bryan like this right now. And it is so, like, I'm proud of them for having enough spine to, like, take a chance on him. And just as a fan and a guy that, like, you know how passionate I am about the things in my life. I know, like, you've got things you're passionate about. Like, we know that wrestling is Bryan's life. I even tweeted at one point, like, if he never wrestled again, I think he would have accepted it, but it always would have kind of, like, gnawed at him for the rest of his life. I can't believe anything otherwise with how dedicated he is to this.
Right.
And now he's here. And that's so fucking beautiful to me. So I had to take a moment from all the negativity and everything to just say, like, that's what makes me love this as much as I love this. And I have for well over a decade. So I'm really fucking happy for him. This comes at a great point for AJ too, because I was starting to cool down on his reign a little bit. I mean, AJ's ability is undeniable. I will never take that away from him, but everybody goes through ebbs and flows. AJ was at an ebb with me, a low one to be exact. And I think they took the title off of him at the right time. Clearly, he agreed because he wants to spend more time with his family. So I absolutely think Bryan is going to retain the title here. But I am so looking forward to this. I am really looking forward to Bryan using that ground and pound style and the submissions and AJ, because AJ actually knows how to sell and bump. He's going to make Bryan look like $1 million fucking bucks and like just this ravenous, tenacious fucking badger just mauling him. It's going to be a great story. I think it's going to be an easy candidate for match of the night. Although I will say I think its best competition is the women's TLC match, but we'll get to that in a few moments. But Bryan to retain, dude, and what should be an absolute fucking clinic. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's AJ fucking Styles versus Bryan Danielson, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can say Bryan Danielson because even though that's not his official name, that's definitely the character that he channels in the ring now.
Absolutely. No doubt.
He is the American Dragon in the WWE.
The new Daniel Bryan, baby.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for the pun game on Sunday.
Oh. All right, let's move on, brother.
All right, up next we've got Braun Strowman maybe possibly showing up to take on Baron Corbin. If Strowman wins, he gets a Universal Championship match against Bork at Royal Rumble. And by the way, also Corbin gets stripped of all authority, and if Corbin wins, he becomes permanent GM of Monday Night Raw.
There are a lot of weeds to cut through here.
So hilarious to me because I just get this gut feeling that Strowman is legitimately not going to get cleared and he's not going to show up and Corbin's going to win and then Vince McMahon's going to show up on Monday Night Raw, which we already know is happening. He was advertised for Monday Night Raw, but I feel like Vince is going to show up and just fire Corbin anyway because they can't sustain Corbin as GM as far as ratings go.
Yeah, and dude, fuck. Like, okay, no, actually, I want you to finish everything out. So you actually think, like, they're just going to say, oh, come on, Strowman, I'll owe you one. And Strowman's going to work the show? Is that what you're thinking is going to happen here? Or
well, that's definitely not what I said, but that's a possibility. I've even been saying, like, in the Discord and to you and stuff, that I wouldn't be surprised if Strowman showed up in a fucking sling and beat Corbin one-handed.
Right. Okay.
But like if they can't get Strowman cleared, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Corbin won by forfeit and then Vince just came out on Raw and fired him anyway.
Okay, so that's what you're going with. I'll say this. I'm of the opposite opinion because I it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. That's the thing. I can't even really argue against your logic because WWE is so hilariously bad with their own storylines. Who could forget Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker?
Lockbox. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But I look at it more, no matter who's on the other end, Corbin's not winning because either they're going to be ridiculous enough to, again, as I said, and I'm sorry I got that mixed up with what you actually said. That's on me. Kind of zoned out, I guess. But, come on, Strowman, all you won. And he works through, which to me, honestly, if that happens, I might have a similar level of anger to when, like, Alberto Del Rio did return to WWE and pretty much just shat on all of his, like, preaching and shit. Because I'm like, you're really that disgusting as a business that this man just had fucking elbow surgery and you're fucking, putting him in an environment like this, even if it is like a fucking 3-minute match, because wouldn't it be like a long drawn out thing? Right. It's still more the principle of the thing. Like, wow, you really are that fucking desperate that you force a guy against his own welfare to go and do something like this. Like, fuck off. What I'm hoping for, and this is going to be the John Mark fantasy booking thing of the night, I really am hoping they do the Bray return here. We've gotten no indication of it. I will readily admit that. The only thing I've had to go on, but that can mean anything with fucking Bray Wyatt, is that he tweeted pretty much essentially that I know the man now that I am and what I'm supposed to be. And I'm hoping he fucking saves the day. Maybe Corbin has like a
Dude, I love that you pay attention to this stuff on Twitter, but when are you going to learn that WWE and Raw writers don't acknowledge Twitter shit?
I mean, clearly, if I haven't learned at this point, a safe bet would probably be never. But
yeah, like the stuff that gets said on Twitter, unless now here there are exceptions. So I'm not trying to say it's like a general rule that applies 100% of the time, because there are exceptions where like random matches will get made because of Twitter beef, but most of that is really like the Twitter beef gets planted to set up the match. You know what I mean? Like they have people tweet things to set up a future match between them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like Bray Wyatt tweeting random fucking vague shit is, basically cutting Bray Wyatt promos except on Twitter. I really don't think that's going to have any kind of significance to the Raw product.
And to be fair, I did say that it didn't even directly correlate to TLC, but I could see maybe Baron, because he's that kind of a douchey heel, and I do think this fits with his character. He comes out, he gets a microphone, and he goes on a preamble because he's puffing his chest out. He's like, oh, I got this shit. So he's taking his victory lap. And then the fucking whole screen effect for Bray. He comes out. I think that'd be fucking amazing for him.
Oh, dude, absolutely. If they would decide to do that, it would be really cool. My thing is, I just don't like. They haven't indicated in any way that they would do that, which is like, you know, sometimes they do stuff like that as a surprise, and if you'd be able to call that this far out, it would be pretty amazing. But more often than not, us reading into like, oh, this person's cleared, they're going to show up, ends up just being disappointing for us.
Right. Now, where I think it gets a bit thorny, because I mean, here's the thing.
Jane Thorny, since he's a single star now.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, possibly, but I'm going to table that mainly so I don't bang my head against my table right now.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I can play that game too. But you already kind of had the idea Corbin wins by forfeit, but then Vince fires him anyway. I could see WWE doing that, but I feel like that just makes the whole storyline, even though Corbin has been like literally an anti-draw in this regard, it does make it fall flat. Like, even if you commit to a bad storyline, fucking commit. That's kind of my role of wrestling.
But they've done it so many. Literally, just earlier this year, Bobby Lashley beat Roman Reigns at a pay-per-view only for Roman to get the title shot anyway. Like, they do that all the time.
True. I just feel like, but see, here's where I grow concerned again, though, and why I even mention all this. I actually really feel like the most probable thing is WWE being a fucking scummy company and forcing Strowman to work, because I still think that they want the Braun Lesnar matchup at Rumble.
Yeah.
I think they want to do that. So here's how I'm going to table this. Bray is what I do want, because I think that'd be a great fucking moment for him. And it does create some controversy. Like, well, does Bray go to Royal Rumble now? Does Braun have an axe to grind? Whatever. Because Bray and Brock never really did have their match. They had that one weird feud, but then he had like Luke Harper take his fucking place. So that would be great territory to revisit. That's what I want. I would freak the fuck out if that happened, because Bray more than anybody needs to be rehabilitated, and this would be a great fucking way to jumpstart that. What I think is going to happen, because WWE, because they're so big and they can get away with it, they're going to force Braun to fucking work after being removed from elbow surgery. It's going to be the quickest TLC match in fucking history. No more than 5 minutes. I don't even know, like, the climbing the ladder spot. I hope it's not as awkward as I'm envisioning it being. Then he may take some more time off, because his match with Brock is secure, and he can even say, well, I knew what was at stake and I fought through the pain, but I want to face Brock Lesnar at 100%, so I'm going to take my time, but rest assured, Brock, when I'm ready to strike, you'll know it, or something like that. They do their fucking match at Rumble. That's what I think is going to happen. So I do think Braun's going to show up, and it makes me fucking sick, but I think at least they're going to give him the win, and they are going to protect their bigger, Royal Rumble storyline. So that's my prediction.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they can make him work if he's not cleared to wrestle.
True. I guess that's true. Because, I mean, with Punk, right, when he talked about it, I guess he was technically cleared to wrestle. He just wanted more time off so that he could be, in better
100%.
shape to wrestle, long term. Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is like, you can be cleared to wrestle without being 100%, and Punk wanted to get himself up to 100%.
Right. I don't know, man. Well, maybe Strowman will do it, or maybe he'll just be like, hey, wrestling is a very broad thing here. If I go and I do a quick thing with Corbin, is that really going to set me back that long? I don't know. I just think they're going to find a way to get fucking Strowman in that ring. I'm not going to like it, but, and then he'll probably be off for a few weeks, because then they will want Strowman at 100% to face Lesnar at Rumble. So, yeah, that's the chips I'm putting down, but I'm really hoping for Bray Wyatt, like really hoping for Bray Wyatt. And keep in mind, the match I originally wanted, which in hindsight I definitely still would have wanted, was a big 6-man TLC match. Baron, Drew, and Lashley versus.
I'm not gonna lie, like, you wanted that so early on before most of these matches were even announced, and that would be so much better than what we actually ended up getting with all these ridiculous, obnoxious, unnecessary stipulation matches. Like, yeah, your idea of the 6-man tag with, Balor, and Strowman and
not even Strowman. I misspoke. It would have been Bray because I would have factored in his return like earlier on the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then who else was it? It was
Elias, Bray, and Finn.
Elias. That's right. Yeah, Elias, Bray, and Balor versus Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. Yeah, that would have been way better than what we got out of this. I mean, like that match would have been at least as good as what McIntyre Balor is going to end up being, if not better. And then we wouldn't have had to deal with Lashley, Elias, or this. So yeah, to me, that would have been a huge improvement.
Would have been a great star-making moment for that Strange Bedfellows team, too. Like, Elias in a fucking huge TLC match like that, and Balor, and like, all three guys would have gotten something out of it that they desperately need. McIntyre would have been in a high-profile match, because even if he loses, you know Corbin's going to really be the one that loss is centered on.
Right.
Like, oh, man, that would have been so much better for everybody involved. God damn it, WWE. But yeah, fucking Braun or his proxy, as I've been seeing the word used in chat, they'll win. Please, Bray, please fucking come out. But we have one match left, and I want you to take the reins on this because this match is going to be hopefully fucking amazing. The women's TLC, Asuka versus Charlotte versus Becky for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Please, my friend, the floor is all yours.
Brother, I hope this match is half as good as we're all expecting it to be, because if it gets anywhere close to living up to those expectations, it's going to instantly become WWE's match of the year. Because it's been a weak year for the main roster as far as match quality goes. So it's definitely a bar that these women are going to very easily be able to leap over potentially. We could, and frankly, a lot of people it's kind of interesting because I've actually seen a lot of people saying that Becky Charlotte in their last woman standing match, a lot of people are saying that was their match of the year for WWE, which kind of blows my mind because like even that night, I thought that was one of the 4 really good matches on the show, and it didn't really stand out as anything more than just one of the 4 good ones to me.
Right.
But yeah, so like if that match got people excited enough to call that a legitimate match of the year, I really hope that this match outdoes it even, because frankly, like, you've got the same elements, but you've added another great element. It's like, rather than being 50% great because of Becky, it's now, 67% great because Becky and Asuka are both a part of it. So that's extremely exciting to me. I feel like the big problem I'm having here is just deciding who I think is going to win, because this is like one of those rare moments where WWE kind of shares something in common with Lucha Underground, where rather than wanting to like predict what I think is going to happen, I just want to see what happens so that I can figure out what's going to happen over the course of the next few months. Because like, I feel like the results of this and Ronda Nia are going to go really far as kind of telling me and informing us as an audience what WWE plans to do on the road to WrestleMania with these women.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see who walks out of this match the winner. As far as an official prediction goes, I already know who you're picking, or at least I knew who you were picking when we talked about it a couple nights ago. I am going to, oh Christ, damn it. I'm going to just pick Becky to retain. I don't think that that's going to happen, but I like the way that I've kind of set myself up here. Like if I would have thought about this more ahead of time and really given myself time to kind of plan out going forward, what I think is going to happen going forward, I probably would have picked Elias to beat Lashley. And then I also probably would have picked Nia to beat Ronda, because I feel like the most likely scenario after this is, and it's also kind of a worst likely scenario, which is worst possible scenario, which is why I think it's most likely, because this is WWE. And they did worst case scenario last year with Charlotte and Asuka. And then, Alexa Nia, that was the worst case scenario last year. So why not do it again this year? And to me, the worst case scenario this year is Charlotte wins the title here, and then Ronda wins the Rumble and comes over to SmackDown and goes after Charlotte. And we all have to, watch as Becky gets kind of looked over, unfortunately. So that's the worst case scenario to me. And then, of course, we would also have Nia Jax as the women's champion on Raw, which is just terrible. So that's like a worst case scenario. But you know, based on the idea that Ronda retains, I want to have Becky retain as well, so that Charlotte and Nia end up swapping shows. We get Nia, Becky, and then Charlotte, Ronda representing Raw. So that's going to be my official prediction, even though I really don't know.
All right, man. Really appreciate that breakdown. To me, I struggle as well. It's weird having a TLC main event like of this magnitude. I don't know if it's going to close the show. I think it should. But where Charlotte actually feels like the third wheel to me, because Becky is so fucking hot right now. We've already talked about it, like her momentum, the way she's carrying herself. She understands what she wants this character to be and what I think the crowd wants this character to be, and she's tapping into that. She's tapping into something very raw and very passionate. The people still love Asuka, which is actually very endearing to me because I'm so used to, you know, wrestling fans as a whole. Like, you know, I know that we can very quickly become very cynical. You know, fickle, yes, cynical, jaded, all that stuff, and yet they've still holding out this love for her, which I just think is really wonderful, and it's earned. You know, Asuka is great at what she does. There's no doubt about that. But I feel like the way she looked on the Go Home show, that should have been how she's looked her entire main roster run. That was fucking badass. Her alternating the kendo stick shots, and then again on Mixed Match Challenge, kicking Miz in the head. Like, they've really done some great rehab with Asuka. And so, to me, and I never really do this, I'm already kind of taking Charlotte out of the equation, honestly. Where I'm torn is, does Becky retain the championship, or does Asuka actually finally win the fucking gold, presumably at the main event of TLC? And I love TWitWoW, and I love previewing predictions, and I have fun with it. So I'm going to have fun with it again. I'm going to put my balls on the table. I'm going to say that Asuka finally becomes women's champion. I'm picking her to win because
that's what you told me the other night. You were going to pick her because then Becky and Charlotte are going to do their own thing separate from the title.
Yeah, I think they're going to do their own thing separate from the title. I'm kind of altering the fantasy booking in my mind that I shared with you on Rocket League. I don't think they're going to make that much of an overcomplication of the Women's Rumble. I'm now just thinking that Becky may win the Women's Rumble outright. But either way, that means that she's not the champion. I think Asuka's finally going to get her moment. And maybe I'm even saying this from a fan place because honestly, for as much as I love Becky, I feel like Asuka, her winning the title, it's kind of like when a movie gets, or when an actor gets an Oscar for a movie, but they're not really giving it to him for that movie. They're giving it to him for the movie that he should have gotten it for, but didn't get it for whatever reason. I feel like Asuka,
like Leo DiCaprio with that fucking bear movie.
Exactly.
Revenant, that's what it was.
Yeah, Revenant, exactly. And I feel like Asuka getting the title here, it's like, this is the title that you should have gotten at WrestleMania, but you're finally getting it now. And I think it's still, all this time later, even though she's had the cool down, they're trying to heat her up again, it's still deserved. I'll be so fucking happy for her. I could imagine it getting a big pop. Hopefully. Now, this is where I'm a bit concerned, because part of me thinks it'll be a big pop. I'm hoping that Asuka's over enough that if she was to win at Becky's expense, the crowd...
I think the only way that she won't get backlash is if she knocks Charlotte off the ladder.
That's a great point. They should have Charlotte neutralize Becky first and have all that heat, and then from all that heat, it's like Asuka's the conquering hero. Because if it's not Becky, we can't have the person that Becky constantly calls out win the match. So We're cool with Asuka. Because Becky's even been cool with Asuka. I mean, sure, she's called her a dope, but she's gone out of her way to say that Asuka earned her way in. So it's almost like saying, like, yeah, I have problems with Asuka because she's in my crosshairs, but as a person, as a competitor, I have no qualms with her.
She respects Asuka. She just doesn't like her.
Exactly. And so, again, you know, the fan base, they're going to kind of look at Asuka that way. And obviously, they'd prefer Becky to retain. But I think as long as they do what you said, Ashton, Charlotte takes Becky out, but then Asuka takes out Charlotte, which, again, would just be such a sweet comeuppance for the taking of the streak. You know, that is actually really great storytelling. I hope they do it exactly like that. Asuka for the win. I'm putting my chips on the table. There we go.
All right, man. All right. Yep. I'm picking Becky to retain and just kind of keep that going and have Nia get switched over to SmackDown, and maybe Charlotte probably wins the Rumble then, goes over to Raw to challenge Ronda. And yeah, man, it's really an interesting situation, and I think TLC is going to be very telling as far as, you know, where we're going to end up at WrestleMania as far as the women's titles go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I'd even say, with my rants aside, I think the main event matches or the matches with stakes are either really good or just very interesting narratively for how they're going to catapult us into Mania season. That I'll still say I'm holding steady to that 7.5. I may have even gone up to an even 8. So the jump isn't even that much, but I'm not down on this pay-per-view at all. I'm still excited.
Yeah, I think I'll actually join you at that 8. I think I've been, you know, my excitement has gone up because not only do we have this match, but then Bryan Styles I'm very excited about, Murphy Alexander I'm excited about, and then McIntyre Balor I'm excited about. So 4 matches out of 12, and then there are the 3 that I hate, which is Mysterio, Orton, Ronda, Nia, and Ruby and Natalya. Those are the 3 that I hate, and everything else I'm kind of in the middle on, like it's, you know, take it or leave it kind of stuff. So yeah, man, I'm getting pretty excited for Sunday as well. And not only do we have this on Sunday, we have the TLC pay-per-view live reactions on Sunday, but we also have a live reaction and a review to Women's Wrestling Revolution Brick House, courtesy of Jackie in the Patreon.
Yes. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend for the TWitWoW fans. I want to thank everybody that came out for predictions.
Speaking of weekend, I mean, you said weekend because tomorrow, Saturday, we're going to be live reacting to Heroes of Wrestling.
Oh, Present Sal. I don't know why you do this to me. But
what an asshole.
Yeah, I was going to say, Present Sal, your future just got very unpleasant if this show is as bad as I've been hearing that it is. So, yeah. But that's tomorrow. That's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, guys, and then obviously Ashton broke down what Sunday is going to be like with Jackie's Patreon requests, and then, of course, TLC live reactions. So, guys, in the meantime, I want to thank everybody that came out for this. You're amazing. Please like the video on the way out because we had pretty steady viewership all the way through, but only 7 likes and a dislike. How do you dislike a preview and predictions? Like, that's not, you can't even make an excuse. I thought it was something else. It's preview and predictions. God damn.
Maybe they disagreed with one of our predictions and they were angry about it. So
well, stop booing me. I'm right. So yeah, guys, just kind of prop us back up if you can. Leave a like. We'd greatly appreciate it. And yeah, with that said, I'm going to leave it to Asha and take us home.
All right, guys. We've actually, dude, we've been live for an hour and a half. Holy shit.
One of the longer preview predictions in a while, right?
The longest one I can remember for sure. But then again, you know how awful my memory can be sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. I just looked at the clock and I was like, oh, have we really only been live for like 25 minutes? And then I looked and it was like 10. It was like, wait a minute. When we went live, that was a 9. Holy shit, we've been live for over an hour. Yeah, so we've been live for like an hour and a half now. It's kind of crazy. I did not expect for us to go this long. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed, apparently we had a lot more to say than we even realized, but if you enjoyed what we had to say, remember to like the video, subscribe to that channel, you know, the one that you're on right now, this channel, TWitWoW. Subscribe to it if you haven't, if you're new. And then, of course, click the bell icon, join the notification squad. Follow us both on Twitter. My Twitter has a schedule on it, and I don't even think it's fully updated because I don't think I have the Women's Wrestling Revolution show for Sunday on it. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to check it right now. I'm going to pull up my Twitter and go to my pinned tweet and look. And yeah, no, I don't have it on there right now. So I'll have to update the schedule to make sure that you guys know about that. And really, you guys don't have any problem because you heard me say it, but people that haven't been here and listening to this preview predictions need to know about it. So we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon for Heroes of Wrestling or Sunday afternoon for Women's Wrestling Revolution Brick Shit House or Sunday night for TLC. But no matter what you decide to show up for, all that we ask is that you remember to stay tuned.